as a coach, just seeing them all happy and, rewarded. Like, that's how good they can play, and they can even play better.
I would say we were the better team, but I've learned that the better team doesn't always win.
Is Marong too reliant when going forward on 𝐏𝐸𝐿? Hubs, are you playing?
I've said yeah the last few weeks. No.
Player for player, I think we're very tight, and I think quality on both sides is very similar, and I think we both like to try and play football.
Takes their chances and wins the game. Like last time we played these guys, they dominated us. Like, I'm not going to lie. And
with Marong, I think one of their strongest things, I was thinking about it after you asked me the question before, I think one of their best things is their ability to steal momentum from a game. So
we were almost thankful in the fact that we weren't in the running for the club championship, because I don't think we were ready to go up.
I think the benefit for us was they didn't know what they were playing against coming into the game.
How's it going, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Blacktown Premier League podcast, which is in the midst of a wet and wild finals series. It has been fantastic so far. I hope you're enjoying all of the content that you have had so far, and I hope you're keen for this episode, because guess what? We have 4 different teams on the pod. We have 5 different teams on the podcast this week. As you've seen by the intro, every single team, bar Town Rangers, that are eligible still to or have already qualified for a grand final will have a little snippet on tonight. But of course, our focus is on the big match of the round, 𝗠s versus Marong, the eternal derby, the standard bearer derby. That's what we go in depth on. And I can promise you, before we cue the intro music, is that this is, I think, one of the most insightful podcasts, not in terms of what you learn about the football perspective, but what you learn about the players, the very essence and the fabric of the personalities that are kicking goals on the weekends. You're going to get some real insight into who these star players are. And if you're not a Premier League player and you want to learn about these Premier League players, this is the podcast for it. There's some really, really wonderful answers here, and I hope you enjoy it. So strap yourselves in. This is a mammoth, a long episode. This is going to take all my bandwidth to upload, and cue the intro music.
Here come Workers on! But it's fallen here towards 𝐼𝐸𝐜!
Oh my word.
To find her teammate in Izzy Grant! And now played and struck and in! People, Ryan Dominici! And further forward now to Nira!
We're all ready to play, and yeah, we'll go out and smoke it this time.
There's no real point in delaying it either. We're going to get pretty much straight into the podcast interview. So we're going to start, of course, with Marong and 𝗠s, but let's talk about some of the results. As you know, an incredible game happened between 𝗠s and Workers. 𝗠s putting five unanswered goals against Workers. They were dominant from literally the first to last kick. Adjacent to that game was, of course, the automatic grand final ticket between the two PL1 teams in Marong and Duneside, first and second in the league table, into the regular season. And even though Marong were the league leaders, they lost the game. Duneside are already into the grand finals, and that's why they came on the podcast this week for a little snippet. They had a training session next door at Wanderers 5s, and they were willing to come and jump on the mic. That's the commitment these players have to the cause. So Workers are out, and now we're left with 𝗠s and Marong for the final ticket to play Duneside in the grand final. This is just unmissable stuff. After being the favourites to go up no more than a month ago, Newbury are now out of finals contention, and what that does for the relegation promotion playoff against 𝐏𝐸𝐿_𝐺𝐝, they're not going to have any competitive football now for only a couple days more than Tigers have. Tigers' last game was on the Tuesday against Workers, where 𝗵𝟮𝗵 got his golden boot. So really, they're going to be just as match sharp or lacking match sharpness as each other, because they're not going to have competitive football. Newbury, huge loss for them, but credit to Prospect and 𝗵𝟮𝗵. What a beast. The already promoted Town Rangers lost to Minchinbury Jets, and it was a stellar footballing game. It went the full distance, 120 minutes, and then a penalty shootout. And the Jeopardy Jets, well, they prevailed into the grand final. They already are, and they are also on the podcast this week too. Right, to meet my eyes back here, this is the big interview of the episode. So strap yourselves in, take some notes. This will be the match of the round, most likely here at this ground as well on the weekend. Are you excited? I think you should be. And leave a like if you appreciate the depth that these guys go into. They gave an hour of their time on a random Wednesday night on a random Tuesday night to record this. So I'm super appreciative. Thank you guys in advance and enjoy this one. Leave a like. It is already feeling like grand final time. It is the best derby in the district we have for you in what is, in fact, a grand final qualifier. 𝐏𝐨𝐴, Dylan 𝗶𝗶𝘆ecie迄𝐴 from Marong, 𝐿𝐴 Blake Skur, and media-trained Matt Hubbard here to join us here tonight. Boys, thanks so much. Blake Skur, let's start where we left off. Workers, you have the winning goal, the first of 5. Was that as close to about a flawless performance as you guys could have produced that day?
Yeah, I think that was probably the best we've shown up all year. So I guess that's a handy thing going into finals and showing up the best we have. I think our front four, that's the best we've linked up. So hopefully we can take that into the game on Saturday.
Ellie, obviously I spoke about it on the podcast, the video session you guys had. It was 40 minutes long. I saw you running around to all the players at the start of the game with the tactics board. Now that we're finally through the game and you've come through unscathed, can you finally tell us what was happening in those video sessions? What were your tactics heading into Workers?
Nothing much. No, we just prepared well. It was one of them games where, like, I think everyone steps up for semi-final football. We know it's a 3-4 week season for us. So that's how we treat it for finals football. And over the past few weeks, we grow into another team. We go into another level, as do these boys as well. So we just prepared well for that game, and it was just good to see us execute what we planned on, and see all the boys, all 11 boys, actually follow our game plan and all execute it. And the happiness that they all got from it, that was the most important thing for me as a coach. Just seeing them all happy and rewarded. Like, that's how good they can play, and they can even play better. So
They certainly were happy, and you were certainly happy. Shia, I'll get you to grab that mic off Ellie if we can transition it across. Look, you're obviously playing on the adjacent field right next door. 5 different goal celebrations, 2 penalty shouts in the game happening behind you. Were you struggling to keep an eye on your own game? Because it was a pretty crazy one that we were covering in the match of the round.
Yeah, it was very loud on their side as well. But no, we were just concentrating on ours because it was a big game for us as well. But didn't get the win we wanted. But now it's time to move on and concentrate on these boys on Saturday night.
Hubbard, I go to you. I just want to talk about Aaron Avery, by the way. You had a pretty great view sitting wherever you wanted to up and down the sideline. What did you make of that man's performance on the weekend?
Yeah, as I said before, he's the TV game, always man of the match. His quality, on and off the ball and link up with the forward front three. It's something to look out for this week, but I think he's actually hitting his peak, which we've warned people for a few weeks now to look out for.
Kelvin, I'll go to you now. Let's talk about this Duneside match. Look, 1-0 down, you guys go. You then bring it back with another goal of the season contender by you, as you do every single year. It's been the story of your entire time in Blacktown, but you guys didn't end up with the win. So can you explain from your perspective why that is?
Look, it was a tough one. I think we didn't, well, in my opinion, when we needed to kind of capitalize against them in the first half, we didn't. And the longer they stay in the game, especially a team like Duneside, there's a high chance they'll get a result. So when we equalized, I believe that we could have done it. And then when they get that goal not long after we've equalized, then it's like, maybe 25 minutes left, and they're going to go low block and really just try to defend the game to the end. So, which they did, and then they got a lucky sort of third goal. So I guess it works for them. If I look at the game, I would say we were the better team, but I've learned that the better team doesn't always win. So, and yeah, that was pretty much it.
Let's hone in on better team. Are you talking in terms of your tactical approach to the game, your actual performance? Were you unlucky? Was your XG, let's say, through the roof? What do you mean by that?
I think we had more. We looked more promising. Oh, I couldn't say promising, but I think we looked more threatening and more dominant with the ball. We just really didn't link. We didn't capitalize in the final third. We didn't put the goals away. Not that we had very clear chances, but I feel like if you looked at the balance of the game, we were probably more likely to score, or thought you would likely to score. But yeah, when you don't put them away, or you don't even, you don't capitalize, doesn't really matter, to be fair.
Just a quick word on your goal.
Yeah.
I've seen the video footage.
Yeah.
Question marks over if there was a foul in the build-up.
Look, that it could have gone anyway. To be fair, I mean, if I was on the receiving end, I would have definitely gone to the ref and say, hey. But these things do happen in football. You win some, you lose some. We just took that opportunity. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Dylan, from 5-0 over Duneside in the regular season to this 3-1, what do you think changed from that game to this?
I wouldn't say so much change. I think they played the way they normally play, but that's finals football for you. And like Kel said, if you don't capitalise on the opportunities in that 90 minutes, the other team will capitalise, and they happen to be the other team on that day. And we happen to be the ones that didn't capitalise, so they took it away.
Shia, 2 questions back-to-back now for you. The first is about the way Duneside play. It is known for being tough to play against them physically. They're a team that get quite excited for finals games. It's in their DNA that they just seem to pump up for these big occasions. They love to play against teams that play football because I think that their counter way of playing and sort of their occasional tendency to play long balls is quite hard to deal with. I mean, the first goal, the one that Byron eventually feeds to, I can't remember who scores it, but Byron gets the ball and feeds it through to someone who taps it away. I think it's the first goal. Second goal, there you go, it's the second goal. So what proves to be the winning goal? When I watch the video footage, like your fullbacks are nowhere to be seen because this long ball just comes from inside their half. So tell me about playing Duneside and what makes it so difficult.
Yeah, look, credit to Duneside. Like they're probably, when it comes to like in the game plan, they're probably one of the best when it comes to counter attack. I mean, the results shows already. Playing against the top sides, they always manage to find a way to score, and like having Ethan at the top as well with his speed. I mean, I think any team would have done that. So, a credit to them. It's always a pleasure like playing against Duneside, but we're just beating them 2 weeks before that 5-0, and then having that week off again. I think having a week off for us hasn't been the best in the last 2 seasons. So I think that's one of the negative things we can take on board. But yeah, there's not much we can say honestly. Like the results obviously didn't go our way, so hopefully we'll meet them in the final if these boys let us.
Is Marong too reliant when going forward on 𝐏𝐿𝐴? It was either you or Kevy. Kevy pulled out. He must have known.
Look, tough question. I would probably say Kelvin is the brain of the team, but I wouldn't say he's the person to go to forward with either, because he's had different roles this year. He's played 6, he's played 8, he's played 10. But he's the type of player where he'll put his 100% wherever you play him. But we do have other players that play in the similar role too, so he's not the only one.
Kelvin, your coach says no, but yes, you are the brain of the team. But let me just sort of run through some stats. I mean, in the regular season, 2 goals in the 5-0. I'm going to assume you took the corners for Josh Ross's headers. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about 4 goal contributions of the 5 goals scored. We're talking about a grand final goal back in 2019, before I got here. We're talking about a hat-trick versus Ponds at the start of the season. We're talking about a goal last week in the grand final automatic ticket. We're talking about some very, very important goals in the history of Marong's Premier League history. Now, Shia said the burden is not all on you, but maybe from your perspective, does it feel like sometimes that's the case, and how do you see it?
To be fair, no, not really. Honestly, I don't play expecting to score half the time, and I don't think, I just play to try and play well for the team. So I really leave it up to the forwards to try to do that. If I get on the score sheet, great. Funny enough, I mean, look, I do take corners and free kicks, so I'm going to have a greater chance of scoring, especially in the last 1 or 2 seasons. And there's a reason why I take them. But if you're talking about open play, I expect anyone else in the field. And sometimes it does frustrate me when our forwards who have got great quality don't actually put them away. I get really frustrated. So, no, I don't feel like I'm the go-to. I just happen to help out in that, and I'm grateful to help out, but no.
well dealt with. Shia, I'll go to you one more time before I finally start putting some pressure on Ponds, which I promise will happen, because everyone knows apparently I hate him. Just in terms of how you set up in the 2 match of the round games, that's the last time I got to speak to you guys on the podcast. It was 𝐾𝐸𝐿less. You guys scored 4 and 5 goals, not in that order. So it's
Workers
Tigers.
You didn't play the last Workers game?
No, he played no Workers game. He played no Tigers game. I mean, Eamon plays both. Speaking of him, and he plays well. I mean, he gets a goal contribution from an assist versus Workers, and it's a brilliant assist. He dribbles through 2 and then cuts a ball in behind. He scores in the Tigers game that was here down this end. So how did you guys set up, if you could cast your mind back, in those games when Kelvin was away?
Look, Eamon actually trains with us as well, and the way he's been training from pre-season till like halfway, we knew we had to reward him because, you know, myself and Kev, we like rewarding young kids that, you know, put the effort and have their right mentality for the game. And we played him and Kel together a few times at training and games too, and it started working well, and they get along really well. And we said, you know, when Kel was away, we sat down, we said maybe we give him a go, and he's done the job. And he's from his 21s team, and now he's earned a spot in first grade. You know, which is very hard for a guy to play with his own team 90 minutes, and then have a little break and then step up for first grade. You know, it's a very different game, and he fits perfect into that role. So he's got a very bright future. I wish him all the best, but yeah, so it wasn't really hard. So.
Certainly a man of the future. Hubs, are you playing?
Yeah. I've said yeah the last few weeks. No.
Okay. Are you willing to reveal what the time span is?
Yeah, next Wednesday, the 27th. Hopefully I get the pin removed, and then the boys make the grand final. And like last 2 years, I think I missed both semis and playing the grand final.
Okay, that is the plan. Dylan, I'm going to throw it all the way back now to you, from one side of the table to the other. You have never lost to Ponds in your time as a Marong representative. What do you need to learn from the Duneside match last week that you need to take into this week, in your opinion?
I never lost to Ponds. I didn't know that, actually. Do whatever I did those games. I think this year we did have a few patches where we were a bit shaky. But as a team, we know what's needed to win. We know what's needed to get above Ponds, Duneside, and any other team in this comp. So I think it's just getting back to the basics and doing the right things right. I think most of the games where we've lost or conceded high numbers comes from our own mistakes. Look, hats off on the weekend, that first goal, cracker of a goal, but every other goal after that came from mistakes. We just got to minimise the mistakes, and we can't lose.
Certainly. Right, Sker, I go to you now. Let's talk about, let's follow on from the question I asked you last week about unpacking Workers. I thought you did a fantastic job of talking about their play through the middle, and I think you were right. It proved to be the case. And I think player for player, like I said, even though you disagreed, I think player for player, you guys were better in the midfield, it won them the game. Let's do the same thing for Marong now. Unpack, I'm going to put it really simply, unpack how Marong play football for us.
Tough question, eh? Yeah, I think, well, obviously, we actually haven't, I don't think I've beaten Marong since I've been at Pond. So I think something's got to change on our end. I do think I wasn't there for the second game we versed them this year.
Which was the 0-0, yeah.
Was the 0-0, yeah. From playing Marong, I feel like it's so toss and turn. I think one game they'll be on top, they'll play football, they'll outplay us, and then I think the next game we'll outplay them. But the thing with Marong is you guys just know how to score, man. Like, they just know how to get a win. So I think a lot of the times the games have been like 2-1. From my memory, a lot of games end up 2-1. So I think for us, it's the mentality, I think. It's just the dog to do whatever it takes to win. I think player for player, I think we're very tight. And I think quality on both sides is very similar. And I think we both like to try and play football. So I think, yeah, come finals, it's just who shows out and who shows up. So, yeah.
Couple of good underlying messages in the latter parts of your answer there. Ellie, I go to you in terms of this record against Marong. I mean, a very close 4-3 game where you could
you could give valid reasons as to why 4 goals went against you that day, I think, and I think you guys were good. I think 4-2. Forgive me. Sorry. Yeah, a breakaway goal with numbers pushed forward. Yes, he did. Haven't talked about it once on the podcast this year. But anyway, let's get back to being serious for a second. It's been very close. The nil was very close in first grade earlier, and I know from your perspective, from Pond's perspective, you guys felt like the better team that day. Does it feel like it's getting closer? Because it really has to be the time this weekend.
Yeah, it's do or die this week, so we got to bring it. Look, to be honest, I think they would agree. The last game that we played them, I felt that we were the dominant team and we should have won. But the thing is, they did have a couple of players out as well. So, a couple of the boys up top weren't theirs. But you know what? At the end of the day, they did what they had to get a result that game. And I got to credit them because the heart that they showed, their keeper, their whole back line just, they got on my point that day. Other teams wouldn't be that much, wouldn't be able to cope with the pressure that we put on a team like going at them that hard. So, and then, start of the year, can't say anything. 3 cracker goals by Calvin. It's just quality, it's just things that, not much players. I'm pretty sure he could still be playing NPL if he wanted to. So, that quality in that team, and they have it everywhere. I know everyone talks just about Calvin, which I do rate him as one of the best players in the comp, but they also got a lot of players that are undermined in that team that I think not a lot of people bring about because they don't do the flashy things, but they do the things to let the likes of Calvin and their top half do what they have to on the day. So we're aware of that, and we've been studying all year, and we know we were going to meet them at some time, whether it was going to be grand final or this weekend. So obviously we get them a week earlier than I thought that would happen, to be honest, this year. But we're prepared. We got a big training session tomorrow. We've been able to hire ground, so we will train as normal. Where we've been able to get the footage from the weekend, how they play, and we've seen all year how they play. There's matches around and stuff like that. So we're going to prepare the best. I'm going to do everything in my ability to get my players up for it. But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to the day. We can do all we want and prepare, but on the day, it's who wants it more. And years gone past, they've wanted it more than us, and we've got to come out this weekend and show that we want it more and match their level. So, they're the champs at the end of the day. In saying they came first, to me that ranks a lot higher than winning the grand final. So it's up for us now. It's up to us to get to their standard and play for 90 minutes, not just taking a lead and think, oh, that's it, because we know what they can do. So
just going to pick you up on something there. Where'd you get that footage from of their game?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
it's not some big secret.
Maybe we had our own video up watching there you go.
It was facing out.
It was facing the wrong way the whole time. Okay, excellent. Love it. Some secrets on the podcast. Ellie, I go to you again. With a reserve grade team also now competing in knockout football, Marong aren't doing that. So their full focus this weekend can go into first grade. And I think, considering that they've lost 3 reserve grade grand finals in a row, it would have been absolutely a focus for them to do well in that Resis, and they've now only got to focus on 1. You, on the other hand, have got to focus on a team that finished very high up the table and sort of bowed out to Duneside and now have to play do or die, but maybe they didn't expect to. So how difficult is it for you as the coach of both to prepare for this weekend when you've got double the task?
Not really. I've got a great coaching team around me. The reserve grade coach, Thomas, looking after them. We've got Eddie as well helping us out. So my full focus is obviously on first grade. I'm preparing for that. I also have a big say in reserve grade, but I believe in reserve grade. They came first for a reason, and I think this week they'll come out and show. Plus, we do get 3 or 4 players back from overseas this week, so that's 4 or 5 first graders that will have to drop down that they didn't have last week. So it's only going to strengthen them this week. So for me, there's no concerns that, in reserve grade. They know what they got to do. We're preparing as well. As I'm preparing for first grade, Thomas is doing the same thing for reserve grade. So then I think only the positive for us is we've got both teams, and that's what our club inspires to. And obviously we want to have both teams in the grand final. So it's not just about first grade. I know everyone thinks just about first. We want both grades. They're just as important to us. Obviously, the cream of the top is first grade, but we have spent a lot on reserve grade this year, and I've put in a lot of effort with them as well to get them to where they are today. So we're not just going to not worry about them, what's going on this weekend. So we'll be fine.
Okay. Players, I promise I'll come to you in a sec, but I want to go to both coaches. I'll start with Shia first. Just about, this is a question I've been asking every single team, and that is, if the season ended this weekend, what would your review of the season be?
Couldn't be happier, honestly, to, finishing first again 3 years in a row, minor premiers, winning club championship, and it's honestly, Ellie would know as well, it's not easy to look after 32 boys, to maintain them mentally and physically for a game, and then players got their own personal life, it's honestly very hard, but somehow we managed to do that and, make them feel like enjoy the game every year, But if we were to lose this weekend, honestly, I would be disappointed, finishing first and then not making the grand final. Obviously, it would be a disappointment, but at the same time, it's football, finals football. Whether it's Duneside or Ponds, it's all about taking chances. With any of the teams that finish at the top, whoever performs on the day gets the chances, takes their chances and wins the game. Like last time we played these guys, they dominated us. I'm not going to lie and hide around the bushes. Defensively, as a unit, we were very good. Like he said, all the boys were just putting their body on the line. But yeah, when it comes to this weekend, we'll see what happens.
What about you, Ellie? What's your opinion if the season would... I know it's thinking very pessimistically, but what would you think about the season if it were to end this weekend?
I'm not going to lie, it'd be a disappointment for us. We've had a lot of heartaches last 4 years, losing 4 straight grand finals. So I think as a team and as a club, it has a toll. It has a bit of a toll. So for us, it's a different team this year. We've about 60% of the squad is different to what it's been over the years. So not a lot of these boys carry the baggage. But for me as a coach, I just feel like the effort that's been put in this year, the tough moments we've had throughout our year, that, as Shia says, I don't think a lot of people know what goes on within teams and what happens internal and how close we are as mates and brothers and stuff like that. So a lot of the boys go through a lot of things throughout the year. I feel like there's not a lot of things that people would know outside of our club what's happened. So I feel like for us to be where we are right now with what's happened between our squad and staying between the four walls is a real positive. And I feel like it's going to give it's a character that I think that will come into this weekend. I feel like Shia said, it's like, you can say, you can sound cocky and say you're going to win. It's who takes their chances, who rocks up on the day. We're both really evenly matched, so it just comes down to the day. But to go back to your question, it'd be a disappointment because our goal every year is to winner.
Exceptionally well said, and thank you for your honesty, and it's good to know that everything's good inside the Pond's four walls in terms of brotherhood. Dill, I'll go to you in terms of a question that I asked you, I believe I asked you this 2 years ago. Who plays football better if both teams play at their absolute best?
Damn, that's a good question. Look, I'll be political. The table says we do. And finals say we do as well. But again, it's just who comes on the day, who shows up on the day. Clearly last week, I could have said we play better football than Duneside. They got away with the win. So same with this week, it's who shows up.
Comfortably. Well done. Hubs, I go to you. Considering the record against Marong, you were the one who came to me and said it was what it was, which was the last 10 have not ended in wins, which is a lot. We're talking about 4+ years now. So my question, now that you've revealed it to the comp and to Marong sitting here, that you're away this weekend, if Ponds were unable to do it while you were in the team, considering that you are one of the best players in the history of the comp, what does that do to the chances of Ponds now that you're not playing?
No, I think we've had players step into my position that have done just as good. I've been around a while, I might read the game, but there's players in there that are quicker so they can mark these strikers. I can't keep up with them these days. But yeah, our history doesn't have a good look on it. playing since 2001. I think it's 10 games, not including Cotton Cup. We've had 3 draws, 7 losses, conceded a lot, haven't scored many, but, you know, it's a semi-final this week. Stats don't mean anything in the game of soccer once you're in for 90 minutes or extra time, penalty shootouts. Whoever turns up on the day is going to win the game. So I know we've got a strong 11 plus our bench. You know, our reserve grade come first. So obviously we're deep in the whole squad combined. So, you know, I think we're in a good place this week. I mean, if you go off our record for the back end of the year, I think without going into, I think maybe we only lost 1 in the last 9 games. So we ended the season well. We had a bad last game, but obviously didn't do anything to the boys last week because they showed up and smacked 5 goals in. So, you know, the boys are really excited for this week. I think this week you'll see a different bunch of boys than you have in the last, you know, since 2021.
19-4 on aggregate in 3 games is pretty wacky. Skirt, I go to you. I'm looking for all positive, sunshine and rainbows for this answer, and that's, I want to know what you think the best thing about Ponds is, and what you also think the best thing about your opposition is from a footballing perspective.
Yeah, I'll start with Ponds. I think we have players who have the ability to take the game into their own hands at times. So I think we have firepower that maybe other teams don't have, but we, on paper, struggle to put it together. And I think that's why we finished 3rd this year. So I think if we can piece all those together and make all those things gel like we did on Saturday, then we're a very dangerous squad. With Marong, I think one of their strongest things, I was thinking about it after you asked me the question before, I think one of their best things is their ability to steal momentum from a game. So I think whether they do it through smart fouls or making the game aggressive or winning challenges at certain points, I think they can steal the momentum of a game very fast. So even when you're on top, it's very easy for them to steal momentum and gain the game back. So I think if we can put goals in early and combine early, I think that'll be where we kind of get our positive, happy result from.
Excellent. And that is exactly why I wanted you to be on the podcast this week. I'll be perfectly honest. That is an excellent answer. And I hope you guys leave a like and appreciation of that. Kelvin, I asked you the same question. Start with your own team. What do you think the best thing about your Marong side is? And then you can give some kudos to Ponds.
Look, I think in terms of Marong, we do have really good talent across a lot of areas of the park. And I think that shows, especially on the days where, you know, everyone's playing well, we're very hard to beat. But also, we also do have experience as well in positions that we really need to, particularly in the back line as well, which in this season, we've needed them. But also, we've had a lot of... this season's been a bit strange as well. The mid part of the season, I felt like we had a bit of a lull. But what it showed to me though was that we have resilience, because we went down in a few games, and literally I thought, yeah, look, probably we're going to lose this game, but we ended up either getting a draw or winning. So I feel like we have that. We know what it feels like to be down, but we don't give up. So I feel like those things going into this game will be important, especially if we go down. We're not going to panic. You know, and I tell them not to panic because, you know, football, as you said, it's topsy-turvy. You know, we could be down the next minute you're up. So I guess for the Ponds, I think definitely this year is a different year for them. They've got some new players that I feel like now are going to challenge us. If I'm in my position where I play in the midfield, I feel like they've got actual really good quality ball players. Not to say that the previous midfield weren't ball players, but I feel like these guys, obviously from their experience, they've played a little bit higher or for whatever reason. So it's going to be a different game where I feel like we're going to be tested more in that midfield battle, which the last game we played, they obviously killed us. So I feel like that is where they've definitely strengthened and needed to strengthen to be more competitive against us. And then going forward, obviously they've got so much speed and impact, and that's not an issue. And in the defense, obviously they maybe have not the experienced defenders, but as you said, they've got speed and they've got youth. So it's going to be a great game, and I think any one of us, whoever wins, I reckon should win the grand final. So, yeah.
Another exceptional answer, and really good. Thank you for diving deep into that. Shit, I go to you. I'm just having a think about it in my head now. I mean, new goalkeeper in Oscar. Okay, Josh Ross has moved out of defence into 6. It seems in the last couple of weeks, months, which was a surprise in my opinion. I think, and he's done really well there. Nathan Samatua's bumped up into being a first grade player, whether it's by other players dropping out. He's done it consistently this year for the first time in a couple of years. Dylan's moved into centre back from full back. Asim is starting, Asim Tapa, and Dante as well. Like, we're talking about an entirely new back 5, and if you count Dylan changing position, an entirely new back 5 and a new 6 trading places with Baller. So for you guys to have done this and made this transition throughout the year, how difficult has that been? Because I don't think many teams could say that they have changed their back 5 and come away with a league title.
Yeah, we were very unfortunate starting of the season. We had a lot of injuries, and the good thing is that when you start the season early and when you have the injuries early, you give other players opportunity to show their talent in different areas. Like Dylan, we know he's a great right back, but when we had the 2 centre backs out for a game and he stepped up to be a centre back, we had Nathan Samatua. We always put his body on the line in reserve grade. He's a great leader there, and you know, he's played first grade as well. So he's those kind of players where you know, it's all about rewarding them when they deserve their chances. You know, it doesn't matter how old they are. It's just the experience. You know, and when you got a player that puts their body on the line every game, you know, it makes the coach's job very easy to start him, you know. Dante joining us as well this year. Honestly, I thought maybe he might struggle for a few games. You know, at the end of the day, he's walking into a team that's been together for a long time. But great player, honestly. Left back from the first game we started him until the end of the season, he's been he's honestly one of the best left backs in the competition, without a doubt. He puts his body on the line, always working hard. You know, for a little guy, he's got so much on him. So, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a couple of questions that are going to be sort of off the cuff, and it could be to anyone who sort of puts their hand up first. I'll leave it up to my peripheral, whoever I see whose hand goes up first. The first question is, who has the better firepower off the bench of the 2 teams, do you think? Who's willing to give an answer and use some names as well? Who's got the best game changers to come off of the wooden bench? Ellie, it's going to go to you.
I don't know if you know, look, we're fully strength this week but Matt, so we obviously get Nick, Benny Welsh back, Victor's back as well. So, yeah, so going on that, I'm going to say my team, obviously, but I got to credit them, man. They've got something. They've got Rivaldo sitting on the bench. They've got Morsh. Who knows who starts for them this week as well. So I think both teams, to be honest, obviously I'm going to be biased towards my team because I know my players more, but yeah, you know, it's even matched, to be honest. Both teams have got fire. I think it's this game being match of the round, you're going to see some high quality football. A lot of these players that do play in both these teams are at NPL standards. It's just life gets the better of them, commitment, work. So I think what you're going to see, whoever starts or whatever comes on there's going to be punches and swings to this game, and both teams are going to have a bench that comes on and might change a game, and that might end up being the win, and we're hoping they'll be us.
This is a question I was desperate to ask in next week's grand final because it's a new format, different to this, but whose team has the better midfield and why?
I'm not answering that.
You're the guy. I'll answer on behalf of Kel. Yeah, look, we've got the best midfielder in the league, and yeah, when you team that with, like we said, you've got Rossi coming into the middle, you've got Eamon coming from 21s, and their plays aren't even starting plays in our midfield, and they're quality plays. So I think when you look at midfield with the depth that we have, yeah, I gotta be selfish there and give it to us. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Are you talking about between our 2 teams?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you want to add anything?
He wants to be political.
Feel free.
To me, like, look, I think we've been great in the midfield. If I'm looking at well-rounded, actually no, it's pretty even. I'll say it's pretty even. Yeah, very even. I think more even this year than it has been previous years.
Yep.
So yeah, that's.
You guys happy to leave it at that, or you want me to move on to the final question? Happy? Balanced? Even?
We'll call it even.
Cool even. Cool even on this one occasion. Okay, and of course I'm looking for a prediction. So I'll get one from each. Sker or Hubs, it's between you to start with.
3-2, Ponds do it.
Okay. Break the duck. Pass it on. Anyone willing to give one?
Right. Nah, I'm not going to give that right.
Well, I'm a defender, so I don't think I'm going to concede 2 goals. So I'll say 3-1, Marong.
3-1 it is. I'll steal that back off you. Boys, extra feature-length episode. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your week. I know it's a busy time of year, but I am really appreciative of all of your collective dedication to making this comp more impactful, more meaningful, create some lore, create some meaning behind every kick, every tackle, every finish, every moment. We've talked about everything, history going back half a decade and plus. We're talking about things happening right now. We're predicting things. I appreciate you guys being part of this. I'm super, super grateful for your time. And best of luck to both of you this weekend.
Good luck, boys.
Done. There it is. Thank you very much. Do you now see what I mean by how awesome of an insight you just got in some of those players? Like, how good was Blake Sker's answers? How much did you learn about Ponds and the togetherness from some of Ellie's answers? Shia and Kelvin, I put some hard questions to them and they were steadfast, and I respect it. You know, these guys are people I talk to all the time, and I've got to ask them these tough questions. They genuinely stood up in the face of some difficult questions that was questioning their ability as a squad. Now, I respect it. Once again, leave a like if you did enjoy that, because I think that's probably the best interview of the entire year, to be perfectly honest with you. We're going to go into a chat now with Prospect and Minchinbury. Now, they are not playing each other this weekend. Let's just make this abundantly clear. They are not playing each other this weekend. Prospect are playing against Town Rangers, but they couldn't be here on the podcast tonight. Minchinbury Jets are already in. We just haven't spoken to them in a while, and we wanted to hear from them, including a potential Player of the Year winner, and of course the outright Golden Boot winner, Blake Curry. Plenty of goss coming out of this one too. So, strap in again, leave a like, and make sure you enjoy this one. Got a strange new format heading into the PL2 Knockout Finals series, with the grand final around the corner in less than 2 weeks. I am joined by Nick Sarkos, sole representative from Prospect. We've got 2 𝐏𝐸𝐽𝐺 boys, and we've got Blake Curry, of course, as well, boys. Generally, thanks so much for joining me. Nick, you have the microphone in hand. Your game was the one with Jeopardy written all over it. You had to win that one. Talk me through the game generally first.
Yeah, so it was a very tight game on Saturday. Conditions weren't great, obviously, on the field. Look, they were a good team. Look, they put all the work in. They got 2 red cards through the game, but the boys got a goal early on. 𝗵𝟮𝗵, bottom right corner, very good goal. And look, we didn't really hold on. We dominated, and yeah, look, we just pushed through the whole 90. Made some really good subs. Credit to Joel and the coaching staff, made some really good subs to keep the game flowing, going, and the boys just stuck in there and we got the win.
To go up over Newbury 1-0, who were essentially a month ago, even 6 weeks ago, pretty much nailed on favourites. I think we can all agree to not just win first grade, but to go up for some reason or whatever. That changed, and now they find themselves here. You guys take the lead. With still heaps of time left to go before the break. There's still the entire second half. You hold on to it like 80s Italy style and just defend for the whole time. Obviously, they make it a little bit easier with their 2 red cards in the second half. But how much relief filled the air when you were able to hold on to that 1 goal that you got, so much earlier in the game?
Oh yeah, it was, at the end of the game, it was just it was huge relief, because we did have a lot of pressure going back and forth. But look, when you get through and you know that next week is another week and you're not going home, it's always a great feeling, and the boys we really celebrated it. We really celebrated it.
Good, that's what local football's all about. I'll grab that mic off you, Evan 𝗏𝐸𝐺𝐵𝐿𝐴. I don't know how you've managed to come back from a month plus in Greece, but you start in the midfield against a hard-running Newbury team. You play into extra time. You take and convert a penalty. So what did you do? Did you channel Greece 2004? What did you do to get that over the line? How did you keep yourself fit while you were gone? I think this is something we should explore.
For context, I did not believe I was starting, and the plan was for me not to start. So I was away for 4 weeks. For about 3 weeks and 4 days, I had no running whatsoever, and I decided to hit a treadmill with 3 days to go. Came back on the Friday night, and at about 10 p.m. I get a message from the gaffer over here saying, both your replacements are injured. You need to start. I said, I'll give you what I can. I was expecting maybe 60, 70 minutes. As the game panned out, I don't know what happened. I just felt fine. Felt in it, felt like I could run. My legs weren't going. So I stayed on. We had quite a few boys out, striker and goalkeeper and whatnot, things like that. Other boys had to come off due to injuries as well, or slight niggles. So I just decided to keep going. I guess that's what captain's got to do on the pitch anyway. Kept going, led the boys on. Thankfully, we got over the line because, yeah, we needed that week off.
Well said, and I know there's plenty of reasons, including heaps of weddings coming up this weekend that you had to make sure that you avoided by getting this week off. Will, I go to you because putting this team together, I know it wasn't entirely under your hand, okay, but putting this team together and being able to manage them in tandem with your father, but let's give you the credit. This is a team essentially of, it's not misfits, but basically it's thrown together and you didn't know who was playing first grade, reserve grade. You kind of just a whole bunch of friends with some added on in here and there. You guys have taken to the league and the comp like a duck to water, and you've taken yourself seriously. And I keep seeing Jeopardy Jets get thrown around, and I'm going to use this opportunity to defend myself. But it shouldn't have worked as well as it has. And I think where that is reflected is the club championship. Obviously, there was probably no chance of in towards the back end of the run of making promotion because the Resi's team was just not yet strengthened. But to come in as a new squad is very impressive. So I want to delve into your tactical approach, how you approached this season, because for you to be able to stand in the technical area and claim the good things that you guys have achieved this season is really, really impressive. So how have you done this?
That's a good question.
It was a very long one, I apologise.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. It's probably a tough question to answer as well. I think going back to your previous question and answer from, the captain right here, little things that, this guy, I was expecting to play him about 20 minutes max, and he does 120 minutes, scores a penalty, lifting the boys up all game. So when you've got players like that who are willing to put in, some of the other stuff kind of supersedes, not so much a tactical thing versus, a lot of people have played in this comp a lot of years, these two guys next to me, and I think we can confidently say it's not always a tactical thing. A lot of time it's whoever on the day wants it ends up grabbing it. And to give credit to this guy, Blake Curry, when your top goal scorer doesn't have a single bit of an ego, is first one to rock up to training, first one to say I'm in, kind of makes it much easier on the sideline. Not really ordering these guys, but, talking to them because they're smart enough. They've done this for a long time. So I think at that point, it's a bit easier.
Off the back of that, I'm just going to pick up on something that you said towards the start of that answer, and that was you said that this guy comes in and you didn't expect him to play for that long. Do you think actually having a bunch of mates playing together means that it's easier to push those egos aside, it's easier to push expectations aside, and just be able to rely on someone to come in because you're not only playing for the team and the badge, but you're playing for your mate to be able to play for another week.
Yeah, exactly.
Play next week. Do you think that's part of it?
100%. I mean, you could grab a team where they're all strangers, right? And everyone has a common goal, as they do. But, when you're playing with someone that, you've gone to school with, you've known for 10, 15, 20 years even, I think it does burn a little bit deeper, that extra 5%. Chatting to Evan after the game of last week, he goes, I probably should have and wanted to come off, but, you look around, you see one guy playing on a dodgy hamstring who just had a kid midweek and rocking up. We had a striker and goalkeeper, so Charbel and goals actually played striker the first 2 games against Mount Druitt, and he's our goalkeeper saving penalties, right? That's, at the end of the day, that's not always what you want, where you're kind of, mixing and matching, and it's not always set in stone, the structure, but you know, when you've got guys who are willing to do that for each other, yeah, it does make it much easier.
Nick, I'll come back to you in a sec, but Blake, look, you're wearing a PL1 Ponds jumper, which is just hilarious. I just wanted to say congratulations on a ridiculous season. Quite frankly, the accolades that you have received and maybe the accolades that will come will be thoroughly deserved. I mean, I'll go into it here. I have it written down in terms of what you've done this year. Okay, let's go into this. So 3 hat tricks, a poker of 4 goals, by the way, 5 braces. You have more braces than 1 goal hauls, by the way. So you're more likely to score 2 than 1. 26 goals this season, not including any friendlies or anything in between, not to mention any assists as well. First question is, how many PL1 clubs have approached you after games?
Surprisingly, only 1. I think I had a lot in pre-season that tried to poach me when they heard I was leaving Ponds, but I denied them, I think, enough times that they got the message that I wasn't going to leave. But yeah, ever since then, I had 1 mid-season, in the mid-season window that came to me, and that was more of just a last-ditch attempt, and yeah, that's about it though.
I'll go into the more serious questions. In terms of your season and the decision you made to drop down and join this team with your mates, obviously this team has existed for a while. I mean, heck, we're looking at Prospect here, the former club. And even though this is not the matchup happening this weekend, you know, this is a team that's played together a lot and it's showing now. Do you think being able to join them and play with them every week, not just having you in Ponds first grade and them in Ponds reserve grade, but to be able to actually play in first grade in the same team, do you think your decision's been justified this year?
Oh, 100%. I've 100% enjoyed my soccer far more this year and this is no discredit to Ponds, but it's, again, I was in a team of essentially strangers that became mates, but having friends that I've known my entire life, playing with them is far easier. It's much more enjoyable. So yeah, yes, it's definitely better.
Excellently put, and I'm really glad to hear that because that's what this league is all about. Nick, I go to you, and thanks for being so patient on the side here. You mentioned Monzier. He's the one who got the goal. He got a match of the round goal here a couple of weeks ago. Stellar goal that one was. I'm not sure about this one, but his running this second half of the season, he's been unreal. So just a quick word on him.
Oh no, he's been amazing. He's actually, like, besides his talent that he has a lot, he's a hard worker. He is one of the hardest workers on the field, and no matter what, even in previous years, because he left and came back, even before playing reserve grade, he would be down and he's still telling the boys, come on, like, we got to do this. And I got to give my hat off to him. He's such a hard worker, and he's found his feet definitely in this second half of the season. Like, he had it on one level, now he's just stepped up to another level. And on this run now to the finals, he has just been on fire.
I now go to you specifically about the Newbury game. And in case you didn't understand it from what I said heading into this interview, in between the first lot and the second lot of interviews, these 2 teams are not playing. Not like Ponds and Marong. These 2 teams are not playing. These guys are already in a grand final. This team is playing to make a grand final against another team who unfortunately are MIA at the moment. But once again, these guys beat Newbury. These guys are already in the final. So we're talking about the game that's happening this weekend, which is for the final ticket in the grand final, in case that wasn't obvious. But let's talk about how you've earned this spot so far. So you guys copped 2 first half yellows. Newbury copped those 2 red cards in the second half. One of them's a second yellow into a red. One of them is a straight red. Now tell me about this game in terms of the emotion and the feeling, because it doesn't look aggressive because you guys only get 2 yellow cards. So there's obviously not a lot of ridiculous tackles going in. Do they lose their heads? Do they just get 2 tackles horribly wrong? Because it's that sort of ill discipline's probably cost them the entire season, not just today and this week, but probably their entire promotion push as well. Let's be honest, that's what's cost them at this point. So tell me about those red cards.
Well, yeah. So the second yellow was James was just too quick for the defender. Came in and just took him out, which was the second yellow. And the straight red, can't remember.
Oh, there you go, great. I'll try and ask someone about it.
We got Adam Dunn, our captain. We got Nick Walker at the back. He's a really good head on him. And all the boys, like, we all go very well, and that's probably why, because we don't let them get in our heads, and that's just how it is.
Good bit of PL1 experience coming through there. Nick, your time here is done, but I get you to stick around and just listen to some of these and make sure you show the camera all your emotions in response to the answers to these questions. Actually, I want to pass to Will, sorry, Evan, but which of these 2 teams, as in Town Rangers missing in action, or
or Prospect would you not want to face in next week's grand final?
I don't think there's an answer to that question. You know, against Prospect, we've had a win and a loss. Against Rangers, we've had, you know, a loss, a draw, and now this win, which was, again, 2-2 in full time. So I think both teams are very, very tough, right? They both pose probably a different set of challenges, but a challenge nonetheless. So I think trying to sit here and pick one is just something that you can't really do, because we know whoever we come up against is going to be up for it, and it's, you know, it's up to us. It's our job. It's my job to get my boys prepared, their job to be up for it, and, you know, I think it'll be a cracker game, you know, nonetheless.
Evan, I go to you. Your last question is just about some of the qualities of the two teams. I want to try and keep it positive here sometimes and not just bag everybody out. But what are some of the great qualities of Town Rangers and Prospect that you could recall? I know it's been a little while. If you need to ask for help, that's fine. Phone a friend. But what can you recall about some of the great things about the two teams that you could come up against?
Well, I kind of have a bit more insight into Prospect, having played for them.
Of course.
Obviously, they're not the same team, but the principles are somewhat similar. Town Rangers, in my opinion, have on paper the best squad in the comp. It's pretty clear to see they have the best players, they have the best squad, hence why they got promoted, because they had the most amount of players available at the highest quality for the majority of the season. My thing with Town Rangers is sometimes they struggle to put it together as a team, but individually they are clear above Prospect, in my opinion. The thing that brings Prospect into the game, if not above them in the game, is how they are as a team. I've never seen a team camaraderie like I was when it was at Prospect. They play as a team, they work as a team, they communicate as a team. They have absolute engines in the middle of the park, they have communicators and leaders at the back. So like William said, it's two completely different teams that it's pretty much like styles make matches, styles make games, right? And this is one of those games where you have two completely opposite kind of teams. You know, in Mount Druitt, in my opinion, the flair, they bring the skill, they bring the flair and everything like that, whereas Prospect bring the grit and the determination. Not saying that Mount Druitt don't, because to play 120 minutes and come away in it with a penalties loss is unreal. Like, you have to play 120 minutes is a very difficult thing. But it's more so, can they come together as a team and can they have that camaraderie together that I see Prospect having? So again, two different styles, two different kind of teams that are put together, but probably, in my opinion, the match of the season to come up.
Mm-hmm. Blake, last one goes to you, and I do have one more for you, Nick, a bit later, by the way. Hope you're excited. It's just about motivations for this one. So obviously, Newbury are going to be motivated by the fact that they have Tigers a couple of weeks after this in order to earn their place. And they've got to dig in with the fact that they're already out of finals. Like, their season feels like it's abruptly ended, okay? Prospect were nearly there. So their thing is that they want to try and get two teams into a grand final and try and win two in their return to PL2 football. What's the motivation for Minchinbury? And do you think that not being part of that promotion race right now is actually what could motivate you to win?
Definitely. I think, actually, I would say, and I think these two would agree, that on the probably back end of the second half of the season, we were almost thankful in the fact that we weren't in the running for the club championship, because I don't think we were ready to go up. And that definitely allowed us to focus just purely on making the finals and then getting to the grand final and hopefully going the full distance and winning it. I'd say that we probably have a very similar motivation to Prospect, in the sense that obviously me and Evan were there when they were last in the grand final, and that didn't end so well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up winning on the weekend for that exact reason, because like you said, Town Rangers' job is, in their mind, probably done. Obviously, they'd probably like to win it, but if they don't, they probably won't be super upset, I wouldn't think. I don't know, obviously everybody wants to win, but yeah. So as far as our motivation, I think it's just to prove a point. We came in, you gave us the Jeopardy Jets thing. That was a bit of a motivation at the start of the season.
Good.
And I think silently we have kind of ran off that a little bit. Not saying that it was week in, week out we were talking about it, but maybe in the back of everybody's heads we were thinking about, hey, we are the underdogs here, and it would be cool to have a story like this and, you know, first season in, throw us together, win a grand final, and then next season hopefully we can go the full distance, get a good two squads together and go whole way and go to PL1.
Likeable bunch of lads, and I'm glad that I could help you. No other team that I'd rather be wrong about than the Minchinbury Jets. And thank you for unpacking that answer in the way that you recalled the history of a couple of years ago. You're able to remember that only one team that's actually secured automatic promotion has won the grand final. It was Tigers, and they were the runaway team in the comp that year. Prospect lost theirs, Polonia lost theirs last year. We've seen it happen before. Again, thank you for your honesty. Actually, I will just quickly ask you, 𝗵𝟮𝗵, who do you think you'll be playing in the grand final?
Oof.
One word answer.
Prospect.
Ready? There you go. Thank you very much. You've heard it.
You asked me.
In terms of the promotion push, by the way, I know it was possible for a while when it came through that they had one in both grades and that wasn't going to be a possibility. Was there much of a disappointment running through William Lawson Reserve boys?
No. Really in the same sense as Minchinbury, as they just said. We probably weren't ready. Look, we could go up again. Like we could have went up again, but there's no rush for us. We are a building team. Just because we're in the semi-finals now, and we did pretty good in the season doesn't mean it's a done job. We're in no rush. A very young team coming up, so there wasn't really too much disappointment. It was just like next year we'll see how it goes. Next year we'll go again.
Thank you everyone for your honesty. Since you're apparently going to be in the grand final, can we get an early grand final prediction then?
2-0.
Okay, done.
𝗵𝟮𝗵's clean sheet.
𝗵𝟮𝗵's clean sheet. He's got some demons to pick at this ground and certainly in grand finals. Boys, thank you so much for this impromptu podcast that we've organised just a couple of hours ago. Congratulations on getting to this point in the season. What you guys have done in your own respective camps has been very, very impressive, and I wish you all the best of luck heading into your game next week and potentially you guys in getting there too.
Thank you. I think it's fair to say that 𝗵𝟮𝗵's season has rivaled Byron Grandermanger's best season when he was playing as a Tigers representative in PL2. And I will leave that question up to you as to who you think has had the better campaign. Throw Lachlan Nixon in there too. 25 goals in, I think, 13 games at the start of last year, and he got promoted. 3 in tandem back-to-back seasons of absolute superiority from one standout player. Blake Curry is the guy. Huge respect to 𝗵𝟮𝗵, but I think the fact that they're able to put a striker in goal shows, I think that right there, and without discriminating too much against PL2, that shows the difference between PL1 and PL2. Unless their striker is this superstar goalkeeper, like Luis Suarez is apparently a really good goalkeeper as well, or Phil Jagielka spent time in goal. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but either way, that wouldn't suffice in PL1. You would get demolished. So that's probably where the gap between PL1 and PL2 is. But to be able to do it and win a penalty shootout, I mean, my word, he made the save. It wasn't a missed pen. The Town Rangers player, Arrow, missed because he was saved by the keeper. That's phenomenal. That's such a great storyline. Now, I love giving PL2 limelight because they're not going to get a match of the round until next week, and I think they deserve a bit of attention. But let's cast our minds back now to PL1. The already grand final qualified Duneside are about to come onto this podcast, and they give some good reflections on the game that they beat Marong in, some good reflections on the season and how they missed out on the minor league, on the minor premiership, I should say, once again, and where that maybe went unstuck. And then they talk about the grand final and who they think they're going to verse and why they think they're going to verse them. And that's where there's a bit of controversy. And that's why I love this podcast. So I'll see you on the other side. Here we are with the Duneside boys, a little impromptu podcast thrown together, knowing that they were training next door. We thought, why not get them over? And I'm very thankful off the cuff for these boys sticking around after their session to be able to give us this content. Byron Grandermange, as you know, Jaden Zwerb, as you know, and the cherry picker, Matt Dudgeon, as I'm sure you know. Boys, again, thanks so much. Jaden, let's start with the most recent set of events. You're into another grand final. You got a real shot of becoming by far and away the best team of the decade if you go on to win this. You might already hold that tagline, to be perfectly honest, considering your grand final success. What does it mean to not win another one, but what does it mean to be in another one for Duneside?
I think for us, we always knew we could get there. Obviously, last couple of weeks of the season weren't ideal. But off the back of that, I think we just really rallied together. Once again, I think teams started to doubt us after a few results late in the season, which, you know, is a position we've proven before we like to be in. So, yeah, I think that was a G up for all of us, and now we're there again.
Judge, I've got to ask you, the reason why there's no league title conversation happening right now is because at key times throughout the season, people have missed games. And I've got absolutely no doubt that you, knowing that you're on the sideline, or you're away overseas, I think you were for the Marong, essentially a decider, you're away for that. As a goalkeeper, seeing the scoreline, that being 5-0, how did it feel when you saw that score come through? What kind of feelings went through you?
It was pretty tough. I was just getting notification after notification in the WhatsApp chat. And yeah, it's pretty annoying because you can't pick your holidays before the fixtures come out. And of course we had the bye the week before and then I go away the week after. So that's just how it works sometimes. But the main thing is we're where we are now and we don't get first, but hopefully we can get the trophy.
Jaden, promise I'll bring you in a second, Byron. But Jaden, just as look, you go on LinkedIn, you search your name, Chief Scout for Duneside is right there. So I've got to ask, when you periodise a season, you macro plan a season, and you know the players are going to be away for key games, you know, you have a result like the Ponds one where you win 1-0 and all of a sudden, happy days, you finish second and now you're in a grand final. Like, it could have been so different. As I spoke to workers with, you haven't beaten them this season. It could have been a very, very different finals series for the both of you. Look where they are now, look where you are now. It's crazy, the ripple effect of so many things like that. So tell me about backing up from the 5-0 to beating Ponds 1-0.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Marong game was just one of those anomalies. Like, credit to them, they were the better team on the day. Clearly they won 5-0. It is what it is with that game. I think after the game straight away, obviously we were a bit emotional, but we just said straight away, like, that's just got to go behind us now, it's done. We knew we were up against it the next week against Ponds. They knew we had players out, everyone knew we had players out. I think the benefit for us was they didn't know what they were playing against coming into the game. And we still had our back five there, which was essential for us. I think it's essential for our team, always has been. But it was a chance for the young boys too to prove themselves, and on the day they did. I think there was periods of the game where we probably were the better team and we knocked the ball around and they couldn't get near us at times, but credit to them too. Like, they're a great team. I just think on the day we got the chocolates.
Byron Granamange, I will put footage of the goal that you scored that day onto the stream, onto this podcast. Sorry. Walk me through what on earth you were thinking to take the ball from the halfway line to the back of Pond's goal.
Well, I was actually playing midfield that game, which I don't think they expected either. And I happened to find myself out wide where I'm used to being. I saw Jake receive the ball and I knew he was going to play it off, I think it was LG. So I just started running and sure enough the ball came through and I saw I had space, so I just took off, and as I got towards the goal I was like, look, the angle's a bit tight but I can see a gap near post, and the rest is history.
The rest is history, and it certainly was a good win. Again, I've spoken about the ripple effects. You didn't end up playing workers because of that, because you secure second place. And again, look where they are now, look where you are now. How differently do you think this could have been if you were playing workers in this first week of finals?
Look, I think when previously, obviously I haven't been here before, but watching them play finals, Dooney, they always live for finals. So I don't think it would have mattered too much who we were versing. I think we still would have lifted in the same way like we did on the weekend. So, and I think we're pretty confident that we can beat anyone on our day. So,
Jaden, Rezzy's team that have progressed as well. You know, I spoke about your depth at the start of the year, which has come back to be. I've had a couple of doozies this year, a couple of good ones, but a couple of pretty shonky ones as well. You're playing plenty of minutes in there too, and you're going to be coming up against you know, a chance to play potentially in the final. You know, this workers team that have done very well. And then you might play Ponds again, but just a quick word on Rezzies and what their depth has done for you guys this year. In particular, mentioning that Ponds game.
Yeah, well, I was about to say I think that Ponds game is a direct reflection of what our Rezzies can do. There's a lot of guys in that team that I think could be playing first grade anywhere else. They're just probably unlucky. They've got players like Ryan Dominicis and Liam Howes in front of them. But in saying that, we know anyone can come in and do a job for us, and our Rezzies, great team. They always back each other and they're happy to just be playing, which is great. That's what you want at the club.
Dudge, how good was your view for Mr. Ryan Domenici's opening goal of the day on the weekend?
It's just, you come to expect it sometimes. Like, him and Kyle just know how to let one rip, but I think Ryan knows how to let one rip into the net a bit more often. Kyle's
not gonna
just
watch
some
this.
car
No
parks.
chance he watches
No,
this, so-
zero chance.
I don't think he even has YouTube.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't have that downloaded. But no, it was awesome, and it was really getting to that tight part of the game. So we needed that.
Mm-hmm. 1-0, you go up, an assist for you, a goal for 𝐼MMOVABLE, I do believe.
No, Couch.
Oh, 𝐫𝐞𝐜𝐸's way, of course. What was he doing up there? Nosebleed. Forgive me for my ill research. But then it comes to 1-1 Dudge, and it's a stellar goal. Like, I mean, to go from 1-1 to strike for you guys, a 1 to strike for them. Kelvin's a very good player. If the Dominici smack through them, he sort of hits around it and finds top corners. What was the response to going and losing your lead? Because you guys came out pretty well after that.
Yeah, I think we've always fired up when we cop a goal. Like, Kelvin was a freak that game. I think we all thought he was pretty untouchable. I thought he was one of the man of the matches, to be honest. We have a habit of copping screamers all year, as seen on the Riverstone game as well, and copping some howlers, like the own goal on the first game of the year. So I think we know how to bounce back pretty well. We always have an answer, apart from against Workers, maybe. But yeah, the boys just lift, and then I think once we get one, then we start really getting rolling, and then we can just take our foot off the pedal and see the game out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that omen still exists as well. When we've taken a lead, we tend to go and either win the game or we just don't lose. So.
What do you think that streak is extending to now?
I can't remember a game in the last 4, even 5 years where we've lost from a winning position. So
We'll have to. I can track back on our dribble records. I will find out if I can be bothered to do so next week in the process. I'll give it a go. Byron, who would you rather not play in a grand final?
I don't think it really matters either way. They're both really good teams. I think it's shown this year that any one of us three can beat each other on the day. So I think either way it's going to be a good match. We're excited to see this match this weekend. I think it'll be a cracker game as well.
How many of you guys are planning on being down here and watching and getting a glimpse of who you could be coming up against?
Yeah, I think a few of us will come down. I mean, we shouldn't have too many plans. We would have been playing if we didn't win on the weekend. So, yeah, I'm sure a few of us will filter down and have a look.
Okay. I go to you for a prediction, Jaden, on who will win this game. I'm just going to remind you a couple of things. The last 10 games, 7 have been won by Marong, 3 have been drawn. So we're talking about 4+ years, bordering on 5 now without a Ponds win. Obviously, they have a grand final win over them back in 2019, before COVID, believe it or not, but post-COVID, Marong have been pretty good in that fixture. So now I ask you the question, who do you think is going to win that one, and why?
Yeah, look, I couldn't really tell you how I think the game's going to go. I think it'll be a fiery one. But you can even look at this season. I think Pond's record against the top 3, I don't think they've won any games against anyone in the top 3. But in saying that, I think they're very, very capable of being the best team in the comp on their day. So, knowing that, I'd probably say it could be us Ponds again. But, yeah, I think it could go either way. It could even go to penalties, in my opinion. So, yeah.
That'll be fun. Haven't seen Marong in a penalty shootout and Ponds in a shootout in a while, at least on a match of the round, that is. Dudge, final question goes to you. I know this is just a quick podcast here today, but just in terms of what last year and how you made the grand final differs to this year. So you found yourself in Pond's position in that you lost the automatic ticket to the grand final. You had to then earn the second spot in the grand final. This time you're already in. You've got the week off. Now you have to either suffer through it or recoup your injuries through it, however you want to look at it, whatever perspective you have. How are you guys trying to perceive the week off? And do you think it'll come to an advantage, or will it just be nothing?
It's probably a good time to recover a few niggles from the weekend from a few of the boys, because it was pretty, I guess, fiery, strong, physical game. But I think our focus is on just getting through training this week, this week, watch the 21s boys tomorrow night, and hopefully on Saturday, focus on getting them to the grand final, and hopefully we can have all 3 in there. I think the finals format this year is a lot better too. I think last year was almost 4 weeks. So it feels nice that we got the chance to go straight in, but we've got to be careful of that week off curse as well. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Certainly exists. Okay, Byron, final question goes to you, and you get the worst one, which is give me your grand final prediction and who it will be against. I get to ask you this next week as well.
You got to stitch me up for. I want to say Pons just. That's just like I was saying with Jane. I think it'll be a very close game. I think seeing what they did to Workers, if they do another performance like that, I think they can get over the top of Marong. Obviously, I'm going to say we're going to win the final. Let's go 2-1 Dooney.
2-1 Dooney. That has been the score in the last 3 grand finals.
No clean sheet.
No clean sheet. No, sorry, Dad, you don't get that.
They're a good team.
Yeah. No 4 points on FPL for you, boys. Thanks so much for sticking behind well after training. Jaden, you look like you're about to fall asleep, so we'll let you guys all go home. And best of luck heading into your break, and good luck to your 21s as well.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks very much to Dooney for doing that. And again, these guys are coming out here on a Tuesday night. Some of them when they are training, some of them when they're not training. I mean, 𝗏𝗏𝐿𝐸, for example, in the previous segment, came from work. He actually left his job early to be here and be on the podcast. That's the commitment these guys have. And I'm super, super appreciative because that effort comes through. And that's why so many people love and adore this competition. So just a quick sort of recap of that Duneside one. I'm glad that we got some predictions out of them. I'm glad that we got so much insight into Kelvin's goal and Dominici's goal and conceding good goals and scoring good goals and what losing 5-0 to Marong a couple of weeks ago meant and what beating Pons meant and the ripple effects. They're so interesting to talk about. And that's why I think this is the greatest local football podcast that you'll ever find. And I hope that you guys leave a like because you appreciate the effort that goes into this. It's 9:50 at night on a Tuesday. I've got to work tomorrow as well. So this is a sob story now. Please leave a like if you haven't already. Get keen for the final series. Next week is going to be the grand final podcasts, which are going to be filmed in a very new and exciting way. I'm not going to reveal anything more than that. But they're going to be different this year, not just a typical podcast. They're going to be slightly different. And I'm so excited for it. Love you all. Stay safe in the rain when you drive, please. And make sure you bring some wet weather clothing and some umbrellas and some towels for the car when you come and watch these finals games. And if not, I'll see you in the live chat on the live stream. Love you all. Merry Christmas. And cue the outro music.
But it's falling here towards Icon! Oh my word. And now played and struck and in! Further forward now to 𝗵𝟮𝗵! Ryan 𝗵𝟮𝗵 wants a second goal. Isabel Graham should have a second goal and finishes with ease.